the Toronto Blue Jays. It was just 3.5 years ago. Joe Carter's epic home run made them the toast of the baseball world. The Minnesota Twins. It's been only 6 years since Kirby Puckett brought the Twin Cities its second world championship in 5 seasons. For the Blue Jays, their return to postseason form will depend on the arms of a revamped starting rotation and the powerful bat of the young Carlos Delgado. The Twins look to mix young talent with the World Series experience of hometown hero Paul Molitor. We are indoors here hard upon the shores of the Mississippi. Sunday Night Baseball featuring the Toronto Blue Jays and the Minnesota Twins. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller along with Joe Morgan. Welcome to our telecast tonight. And we get a look at the Minnesota Twins, who are really struggling lately. They've been hard hit with injuries. And the Toronto Blue Jays, who started to put it together. They won 7 of their last 8, even though they haven't yet started to hit. And that includes Joe Carter, the great RBI man. Joe, only 13 RBIs for him so far.
Well, Joe Carter drives in 100 runs on a consistent basis. And I think you have to look at the top of the order, though, first. They're top of the order. The 1-2 hitters have the worst on-base percentage in baseball. So that means Joe Carter's not getting a lot of opportunities to drive in runs. Joe Carter needs a lot of opportunities because he doesn't hit .330, but he drives in a lot of clutch runs. They're still waiting for Orlando Merced, Carlos Garcia, and Benito Santiago, 3 guys that came over from the National League to really start hitting. And when that happens, I think they'll have a very good offense.
All right, now, for the Minnesota Twins, they have been really stricken with injuries. Paul Molitor is just recently back. Terry Steinbach is healthy, but he's not hitting, although he had 3 RBIs last night. And Chuck Knobloch got hit by a pitch last night. He's not hitting well yet either, but he's getting on base a lot, which is his game.
Well, Chuck Knobloch is doing everything except hitting .340. He leads the league in base on balls. He leads the league in stolen bases, so he is getting on base. But he's just not, hitting for the high average like he did last year. But having Paul Molitor back, I think, will really give them a boost. And Terry Steinbach really swung the bat well last night. If he continues that, again, the Twins will have a good offense. They had a very good offense last year.
Yeah, and Steinbach hit 35 homers for the A's last year. It's the Twins and the Blue Jays. Woody Williams on the mound for Toronto. Scott Aldred from the ESPN Sunday Night Baseball Game of the Week is brought to you by Concha y Toro Wines. Taste says it all. And by Rude Air Conditioners. You can rely on Rude. There is Cito Gaston, the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays, who led them to 2 consecutive world championships, 1992 and 93. And now the Blue Jays, who have fallen upon hard times, are trying to get themselves back to postseason play. Here's the lineup. The Pepsi batting order for the Toronto Blue Jays. Otis Nixon leads it off in center field, and Alex Gonzalez is at shortstop. Orlando Merced, the former Pirate, in right field. Joe Carter hitting cleanup. He's now the first baseman. Ed Sprague is at third base, hitting 5th, 36 home runs last year. Carlos Delgado, extraordinarily powerful. He's the DH. Benito Santiago, last time we saw him on Sunday Night Baseball, he had 3 home runs in a game. He hit 2 here last night. Jacob Brumfield in left field, and Carlos Garcia, another former Pirate, is at second base. And on the mound for the homestanding Minnesota Twins, the tall left-hander Scott Aldred. Like most of the Twins pitchers, he is struggling right now.
Well, he's really struggling, John. He's lost his last 4 decisions after winning his first one. See the 6.28 earned run average. His curveball will be the key to his success tonight. If he can throw strikes with that slow curveball, he'll have a chance. And let's take a look at the defense that you have playing behind Aldred tonight. And behind the plate, Terry Steinbach is the key. He's the new addition to this ball club, and he's also a guy that really kind of helps his pitchers by getting them the calls that they need by framing pitches pretty well. And of course, you have Chuck Knobloch at second base, one of the best defensive second basemen in baseball.
Indeed he is. And there is Steinbach. And so far, coming home for Steinbach has not been what he had envisioned, and certainly not what the Twins had envisioned after he had hit a career record 35 home runs last year. He's just gone into a deep slump. And even though he had 3 hits and 3 RBIs last night, including a home run, he is only hitting .217 for the Twins. So Otis Nixon gets ready to bat, and there's the look from the dome itself. And of course, anytime there's a ball game in here in the Metrodome, the dome usually has a hand in the outcome of the game. Is ball one as Nixon bluffs the bunt, and we are underway. 7:07 Central Time. And I don't know if we'd be playing the ball game if we had no roof over us today, but it was a blustery, cold day with winds in the 40-mile-an-hour range here in the Twin Cities this afternoon. 2 balls and no strikes. Aldred giving up 8 home runs in only 38 2/3 innings. And that is a ball. 3-0. And this is a guy you've just got to come out and throw strikes to, Otis Nixon.
Yeah, not only that, though, that's why Aldred has given up the 8 home runs. He falls behind and then has to come in with the fastball, and that pitch is just not an exceptional fastball, and they hit it out of the ballpark. And we're talking about the fact that the top of the order had not been getting on base. They have some proven players. Last year, Nixon hit 286. Now he's struggling.
Strike 2 called, and Otis thought it was too low. But Cubby Culbreth, the plate umpire, calls him back. 3-2.
Now, Otis Nixon thought he had ball 4 here. He squares around. He's taking all the way. And there you see what we're talking about with Terry Steinbach. He framed that pitch very well. He got that call.
Now having to swing away. Now blocked. And there's one gone. So Nixon is erased. We've got 2 of the 3 leading base stealers in the American League on the field here tonight. Otis Nixon, 3rd in the league with 15 steals, and Chuck Knobloch of the Twins is the leading base stealer in the league with 17 steals, only been caught twice. Now here's Alex Gonzalez. Well, this has been a problem, and you mentioned it at the very beginning of the telecast, Joe. The Jays have not found the combination at the top of the order to get on base and make things happen for the likes of Joe Carter and Ed Sprague. Gonzalez off the glove of the left fielder Lawton. He almost made a spectacular catch there, and into second base with a double is Gonzalez.
Well, they had moved Gonzalez up to the 2nd spot and moved Carlos Garcia down to the 9th spot. Garcia actually started in the 2nd slot. Let's take a look at this. He jumps on this fastball and pulls it down the line. You see they were shading him more toward left center field, and right off the tip of the glove. You know, he made a good attempt.
I think Lawton thought he was going to get it.
Yeah. Well, his glove's long enough.
Here is Orlando Merced. And although he's hitting only .258, Merced has been on the increase of late. This is a guy who always seems to hit around .290, 300 or better, 15 to 20 home runs.
He is what we used to term a professional hitter. He's going to hit a lot of, get you a lot of base hits, always going to hit 280 and above. Not going to hit a lot of home runs, not going to drive in a lot, but he's going to get on base and do the job.
And out of play. So the count is 1 ball and 1 strike to Orlando Merced. You see his average season in his final 4 seasons with Pittsburgh. Just what Joe was mentioning. 12 homers, 71 RBIs, .294 average. He was basically an everyday player those last few years.
Yeah, the last 4 years he was.
But still sat out it against the occasional left-handed.
And in talking to the players that came over from the National League, Carlos Garcia and Benito Santiago, they feel like they're still adjusting to the American League, which is something that we might want to talk about. I don't know where there should have been any adjustments, but they've been making some.
This is Santiago holding a bat in the dugout. That one is taken by Brady, the first baseman, unassisted put out. Gonzalez down to third base, and that will bring up Joe Carter with 2 down.
Well, that was a slow curveball from Aldred. It looked like it was going to be like a balloon up there, and Merced swung at it, but he got out in front of it a little bit and pulled it to first base. You can't hang breaking balls like that and get away with it, but he got away with that one.
So you can't,
but
and then again, sometimes you can.
Yeah, but he did.
Well, that shows the kind of slumping the Blue Jays have been in.
You're right, because a lot of times that pitch doesn't, you don't hit it on the ground, you'll hit it in the air or a line drive.
Joe Carter in the dirt, and that will get the run home. Steinbach didn't know where it was. It popped up in the air and landed in the left-handed batter's box as Gonzalez, breaking quickly, raced home with the first run of the game.
Well, watch Steinbach. He blocks it. Now he gets down. He tries to block it, keep it in front of him, and it hits off his glove, and it bounces away. That's one of the things I've noticed. A lot of catchers do that. They try to block it with their glove instead of just taking it in their chest. You know, he tried to block it, and I've seen a lot of catchers, Johnny Bench to mention one, that would just drop over in front of that and let it hit him in the chest, and you don't have the chance of the ball bouncing away, but it's a tough call.
So now nobody to attempt to drive in for Joe Carter. 2 down and nobody on. The Jays already ahead 1-0. Joe has only hit 188 this year with men in scoring position. Cracks one into center. Looking up into the dome is Becker. And that's the inning. So a double, a wild pitch, and the Jays are on the board. Chuck Knobloch, Molitor due third when we come. John Miller and Joe Morgan were at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Sunday night baseball. The Blue Jays out front 1-0 as the Minnesota Twins get ready to bat. There's Tom Kelly, 11 years now, as the man in charge of things here in the Minnesota dugout. And he truly is in charge. I mean, it all flows from Tom Kelly, TK as they call him here in the Twin Cities. Let's take a look at the Twins starting lineup brought to you by Pepsi. Chuck Knobloch leads off at second base. Brent Brady at first base. Paul Molitor the DH. Roberto Kelly, the veteran, in right field. Matt Lawton left field. Terry Steinbach, the catcher, and 3 for 4 last night with his 3rd home run. Walker is at third base, a highly touted rookie. Pat Mears at short, and Mitch Becker is in center field. And on the mound, the right-hander Woody Williams from the University of Houston faced Chuck Knobloch when they were both in college. And Knobloch says he got real good stuff.
Well, he throws a fastball and a slider. And there you see he throws strikes most of the time. That's the key.
It's been tough to hit. 39 innings and only 29 hits allowed.
And 12 base on balls. So he does throw strikes.
Chuck Knobloch. But look at that on-base average. 8th best in the league. So still getting on base a lot. He's walked more than, or in fact, about exactly once per game. So that's a lot even for him.
The only thing he's not doing is hitting .340, but he's getting on base doing his job. His on-base percentage is very high. And there you see leads the league in walks with 35, leads the league in stolen bases. Stole his 15th straight base last night. The major league record is quite a ways off, though. Tim Raines had 40.
But he would be a little happier leading the league in batting average instead of so high in walks and on-base average. The on-base average is not bad.
No.
He's pleased, but on the other hand, it ain't hit .340.
Well, I think he would still rather, you know, get on base any kind of way he can. But like you say, it's a lot more enjoyable to hit .340.
It's macho. You hit .340, that's macho.
Yeah, no, hitting .340 is real good.
Well, that's Chuck Knobloch. Just kind of muscled that one through the middle.
Well, that's Chuck Knobloch keeping the ball on the ground back through the middle. Let's take a look at the defense. There you see the defense behind Williams. Joe Carter's at first base. We'll see him work with Knobloch over there at first base. The footwork is what's important when you move from the outfield to the infield. You have to have short, quick steps, where in the outfield, obviously, you stretch out and chase balls. But Joe Carter's been making the adjustment pretty quickly.
Joe Carter. He's one of those who, like a Kirby Puckett, who every day puts on the uniform is a great day.
Right. He's always got that smile on his face there. Well, there it is right there. That's Joe Carter.
Brent Brady. He likes to pronounce it Brady. B-R-E-D-E. Last year in Salt Lake, which is the Twins' AAA affiliate, he hit .348 with 11 home runs and 14 steals. He's from Illinois, but from the St. Louis area. He was once a member of the all-scholar athlete team, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, when he was in high school. And that's a ball. 2 balls and no strikes. Woody Williams still looking for that first win. He's been the one Blue Jay pitcher. As you see, Tom Kelly got all of these young guys like Brady, Lawton, Walker, Becker in that lineup as they try to build with youth here.
I tell you another thing I noticed in talking to Terry Crowley. I said, all these guys are short guys. They don't have many big guys on this ball club, meaning the Minnesota Twins. You know, a lot of teams now, we always say that their players are bigger and stronger and faster. They have a lot of short guys that are, you know, line drive hitters. They don't have a lot of big guys on this ball club.
Well, you got something against short guys?
I kind of like them myself. But in this day and age, you know, there are more big guys than there are small guys. You know,
big guys,
bigger, stronger, and faster.
Well, one big guy that we would like to have seen tonight, but he's on the disabled list right now. It looks like he's going to be a real good player. Is Scott Stahoviak.
Yes.
And he's big like Kent Herbeck big, 6 feet 5 inches tall. Hit .284 last year in his first full season in the big leagues, but he's hurt. And we mentioned Kent Herbeck. There he is. Herbie.
They've done a fantastic job with the numbers that they've retired of the players. They have their pitchers and their numbers up there. It's a great tribute.
Knobloch is picked off.
Got him. Good move there. And that's surprising because Knobloch had only been caught stealing twice. And as I mentioned, he had 15 straight going for him. And now that will be that's supposed to be a caught stealing. I don't know how they'll score that.
Well, he was going back to first.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. I don't know how he'll score it. He actually starts to second, though. He'll make a break, and see, he starts to second, so then he goes back. And he you know what? Nice move there by Chuck. Nice move.
Almost did a Houdini there.
Yeah, look at that. Well, Joe thought he was going for the bag. He stuck it there, and he tried to dive away and grab it. So they do give him a caught stealing on that, which is interesting. Because I believe that if you get picked off, it's a caught stealing. But they scored it differently for a while there.
So a caught stealing for Knobloch for the third time this year. And there's that curveball from Woody Williams for the strikeout. So Brady is gone. 2 down, nobody on, and now Paul Molitor comes up.
John Molitor had a pulled abdominal muscle, and that's something that really takes a long time to heal because anytime you run, you put a little strain on it. When you swing the bat, you put strain on it. It takes a long time for that to heal, and I'm speaking from experience. It took over even the off season once I came back, and it was still bothering me a little bit every once in a while. So that's something he's probably going to have to deal with for the remainder of the season. And last year he just had a fantastic year.
And another fantastic year down the right field line, and the catch by Merced. So the inning is over just like that. The Blue Jays have been robbing Molitor of base hits these last 2 weekends. Time after time after time. He's going to have to call a cop. He was robbed. And there's ball 1 to Ed Sprague. And here we go to the second inning. Sprague, Delgado, and Santiago. For the Blue Jays, 1-0. Toronto ahead as they faced Scott Aldred. And that's a foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ed Sprague, a big breakthrough year last year, 36 home runs, got 5 homers, 17 batted in so far this year with 17 doubles. And he was late on that fastball, even though it was only 82 miles per hour. Sprague leading the American League in doubles. Foul tip held, strike 3. Sprague is gone.
There, John, you see the difference in Aldred pitching there. If he can get ahead, he can get you to chase him a sinker out of the strike zone or whatever. But if he's behind in the count, you're only swinging strikes. So he gets you to swing at that pitch that's low and away, and he might get you to chase some curveballs in the dirt. So he turns that ball over, runs away from the right-hander. You have good velocity on that, though.
Here is Carlos Delgado. 6 homers, 19 batted in. He also hit a home run last night. Now this guy's got tremendous power, and they're hoping that he's going to let it all hang loose and hit 40 or so this year.
Well, they had been platooning him a little bit against some left-handers with Juan Samuel, but they decided they're going to go with him tonight. He hit a home run last night.
Hit 25 homers last year in 488 at-bats. One of those home runs cleared the roof at Tiger Stadium. The 29th man ever to do that in Detroit. He's hit home runs off the Hard Rock Cafe and off the restaurant there in Toronto. It's a soaring fly ball, shallow right. Knobloch is out, and in is Kelly for the catch. 2 men down. The Twins have had a great, rich history here in their days in Minnesota, St. Paul, and some of the numbers retired, and that's how they commemorate them here in this ballpark. Harmon Killebrew, number 3. Rod Carew, number 29. The Killer. Doesn't look like a killer, does he?
That's his nickname, the Killer.
Rodney, one of the great hitters of all time. Tough Tony O. He was Rod Carew before Rod came along. Yeah, and don't know how good Tony ever would have been had he not had all of the knee problems. He came right up and was winning batting titles right away early on in his career. And of course, Kent Herbeck, a great favorite who was born and raised here.
And they got the empty spot up there is being saved for Kirby Puckett. They're going to have his number put up there sometime in May. So
I'd like to be here for that one.
Yeah, that's the spot that's vacant up there.
Benito Santiago off to a slow start with his new ball club. He's only had 60 at bats. He was on the disabled list for a while. This is only his 17th game. He has had 3 home runs, including 2 last night. 2 two-run homers for his battery mate, Roger Clemens. Clemens got the win here last night. And Roger, talking about the new new Blue Jays. Clemens is 6-0 for his new team. Remember all the stuff he made that big contract with Toronto. People say, well, he's just a 500 pitcher these last 4 years. And he was. On the other hand, there's wins and losses, and then there's how you pitch. And he is pitching great right now. 6-0 for the Blue Jays. And, of course, Santiago helped him out last night with a couple of big flies. And remember, he hit 30 last year for the Phillies, so he can hit them. And then later, he hit another one. Same spot. I think the same guy might have caught both of those, Joe. And Cito Gaston said after the game he'd like to see Santiago hit 20, 25 with the Blue Jays this year. Down the right field line, going back into the corner, Roberto Kelly. And that ends the inning. 3 up, 3 down for the Blue Jays. 1-0 Toronto. Roberto Kelly coming up. Steinbach due third back in the Metrodome. Sunday night baseball coming up Wednesday night. The first half of our doubleheader. The Cleveland Indians with David Justice and last year's MVP Juan Gonzalez and the Texas Rangers. Justice hitting .362, 12 homers, 30 RBIs. Gonzalez just hit a grand slam this weekend after recently coming back from an injury. Then the second half, Cal Ripken off to a great start as the Orioles' third baseman. The Orioles have the best record in the league against the Angels and Tim Salmon. Cal Ripken, 29 RBIs. Tim Salmon, big slugger. That's the second half of the doubleheader. Wednesday night baseball. We hope you'll tune in. David Justice been hot lately. Matt Williams has gotten it going now. 9 homers, 29 RBIs for that Cleveland ball club. Could be some fireworks with the Rangers and the Cleveland Indians going head-to-head. Bobby Witt, though, is scheduled for Texas. He is 6-0. Here we go to the second inning. Roberto Kelly facing Woody Williams. Kelly, Lawton, and Steinbach. One time they thought Roberto Kelly was going to be the superstar in center field for the New York Yankees. At one time, coming through the farm system, he was an untouchable. He had speed, range in the outfield. He hit 300. He hit with some power. But something happened along the way, and Kelly never seemed to get any better. Now he's just kind of hanging on as a journeyman.
Well, he's
still do some good things, but he's not the superstar that we once thought he would be. Otis Nixon deep to center field. That's the wrong place to hit it in this ballpark.
Well, you're right. He hit that well, but he hit it to the deepest part of the ballpark. But Roberto Kelly has had some good years, and he always has some value on the marketplace because he can run, he can play pretty good in the outfield, pretty well in the outfield, and he's a pretty good hitter. So he always has some value, and he's been traded quite often.
Kelly is gone. Now Matt Lawton. 1-0. The Blue Jays are on top in the last of the second. And the changeup is too low. Woody Williams, right now the 4th starter in that Blue Jays rotation. That's a pop-up, shallow left field. Sprague, the fair territory. Out number 2, Lawton retired. We mentioned the Blue Jays rotation. Of course, Roger Clemens, he was the strikeout champion in the league last year with Boston. They signed him. He's 6-0. Last year's Cy Young winner, Pat Hentgen, and he's 3-1, off to a strong start. And last year's earned run average champion, Juan Guzman. That's the big 3. And really, that's the heart of this Toronto ball club. The starting pitching. Everything else flows from there. Steinbach, the hitter. Ball 1. Woody Williams right now the 4th pitcher, because Eric Hansen is going to undergo surgery and probably is going to be out for the season. Left center field, into the alleyway, and up into the seats for an automatic double. And 3 hits last night and a home run, and Steinbach suddenly seems to have found it here.
Well, he and Terry Crawley have been working a lot, and every time they think they found it, he'll hit well for one day, and then the next day he doesn't. So now he's got 4 straight hits. He was 3 for 3 in last night's ball game. This is a high fastball, and he gets on top of it and finds a gap in left center field, and it bounces into the stand for that ground rule double. But they think that maybe they found it again, and Steinbach is a proven hitter, so he will do well.
6th double of the year for Steinbach. 2 down, runner at second, and here is Todd Walker. Walker hit .339 at Salt Lake last year. Changeup is high. 28 homers, 41 doubles, and 111 RBIs. But obviously, he has not translated that minor league success into the big leagues just yet. Only 1 homer and 3 batted in after 84 at bats. 1-0 Blue Jays. And on the changeup, he's way out in front of it.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned there you see Todd Walker for Rookie of the Year, but he's had a lot of success in the minor leagues, so he's come to the big leagues and he struggled, you know, the first month. And the question is, when do you start working with a guy and try to change some of the problems you see in his swing? Do you wait till half a season? Do you work to the first month, or when? I think the Twins have decided that it's now time to start maybe making some changes in his approach to the plate. And talking to Terry Crawley today. So I think that they're going to try to work with him a little bit. We like to think that a guy comes here, he has success in minor leagues, just let his natural ability take over. You don't want to give him too much to think about, especially the first month of the season. There's Terry Crawley. But I think, you know, they've reached the point where they want to start trying to help him understand the swing a little bit more.
Hits that one hard down the right field line. Fair ball. And he has picked up an RBI here to tie the ball game. Steinbach scores. It is 1-1. The kind of hit that they have not been seeing from Walker.
Well, that's one of the things Crawley has been working with him. He said he gets a fastball in the middle of the plate, and he's been hitting this little flare out to left. He wants him to pull this ball right there on the inside part of the plate. And you see he goes out and pulls it. Good swing right there. And that's what they wanted him to do. He's been hitting that ball on a little flare toward left field by trying to, you know, go the other way too often. They wanted him to be a little more aggressive. They think he can hit 20 to 25 home runs a year, and to do that, he's going to have to pull the ball.
Now here is Pat Mears. 2 down, a run is in. It's 1-1. Woody Williams with a fastball for a strike. Well, Todd Walker certainly comes highly recommended. He was a 3-time All-America at LSU, and he helped lead them to a College World Series title one year. He was named the most outstanding player at the College World Series. Mears helped him out on that one. So Pat Mears is down on the count 0-2. Walker also broke Albert Bell's school record at LSU for career RBIs, and he set a conference record in RBIs, breaking a record that had been set by Rafael Palmeiro. So he's up there with some pretty good names from his intercollegiate career.
You're right, because Will Clark also played in that conference. They had some good players there. He played with Palmeiro.
So Todd Walker, they're hoping that, I mean, it's still early in the season. He certainly could get it turned around. But you know, 36 games into the season, that's a good long while,
right,
not to be getting it done.
Well, you figure 36 games, you've got to, you know, either know that you're improving. You don't expect a guy to come up here and and just tear up the leg, but you do expect to see a gradual improvement on a day-to-day basis, or at least, you know, on a weekly basis. And they felt like they were not seeing that, so they just started to give him some help. And it was actually Tom Kelly's idea rather than Crowley. Crowley was thinking about giving him another week. They started 2 days ago.
And that high tight fastball, Mears lurching back out of the way of it. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 down, runner at second. A run is in. It is 1-1.
This fastball runs in. You see the ball tailing in, and Mears able to get out of the way.
Pat Mears become a very solid shortstop for the Twins. I mean, much unheralded. He hit .267 last year and does not often make errors. Hit .269 the year before that. He too played in the College World Series for Wichita State and won a College World Series there with Wichita State back in 1989. So Woody Williams out of the University of Houston. Got a lot of intercollegiate stars in this ball game tonight. And he struck him out with a slider, and that's the inning. It's 1-1 as we head to the 3rd inning. Stay with us. The ESPN Sunday Night Baseball Game of the Week is brought to you by VFW. They do anything for this country. And by the more than 1,525 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. Yesterday was a big day here in the Twin Cities. It was opening day of the fishing season, and that was the scene over at Lake Calhoun in Minneapolis, fishing for walleye. Unfortunately, Joe, they forgot to tell the walleye that it was opening day because they say they weren't biting. Jacob Brumfield leads it off for Toronto. Do you fish?
No.
Me neither.
No, thanks.
I knew there was something in particular I liked about you.
Yeah, no. I'm not into sitting on boats and passing the time.
Deep to third. Walker with the long throw. He's got pretty good arm. And Brumfield is out number 1. Here's a look at the fabric dome here, which has been so controversial over the years because it seemed to be the same color as the baseball.
Exactly, and that's why balls are lost up there. A lot of times during the year you lose balls. They lost one last night, cost Roger Clemens an earned run, but that's what happens. You lose a lot of baseballs in this gray ceiling, which is just like the baseball after they rub it up.
In fact, 2 runs ended up scoring when Alex Gonzalez lost one up there. But people are always losing them up there. Carlos Garcia. And this one is hard to figure. I mean, he is hitting only 185 for his new ball club. And he still may end up hitting his 280, 290, whatever. But the struggle has really been huge for him coming from the National League to the American League for some reason.
Well, he said to me that one of the problems he's had is that he's swinging at so many bad pitches. He has not been patient at the plate, and he said, especially with men on base, he said that's what bothers him the most is what, you know, he has not hit well with runners in scoring position because he just chases too many pitches out of the zone. He's trying to be a little more patient now. And a lot of times you go to a different league and guys will say to you, well, you know, you got to make an adjustment to this league because it's different from the other league. And I really don't believe that anymore. I think there used to be a lot of distinct differences between the 2 leagues, such as the way the umpires call the strike zone. The hard throwers were more in the National League. But I think now that it's just about even. I don't think there's a lot of difference.
This is Knobloch. He throws out Garcia. Number 2.
They used to call the American League the breaking ball league and the National League the fastball league. I don't think it's like that anymore.
Up close tomorrow night, Monday, at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, and the special guest will be Albert Bell of the White Sox. Yes, Albert will be speaking with Chris Myers. Albert has apparently not been talking to the press lately. He hit a grand slam today for the White Sox, drove in 5 runs. The White Sox have started showing signs of turning it around. They've won 7 of 10 on this homestand. which just ended, including a 4-game sweep of the Oakland Athletics. And here's Roger Clemens. And Roger was there with kind of a weight, always working out.
Always working out.
Otis Nixon, base hit. Roger Clemens last night had 14 strikeouts, which tied the Toronto Blue Jays record, and of course isn't even close to his own personal record, which he tied last year with 20 in a game. His personal record is also the all-time major league record, by the way.
See him working with weights. He started with a very light weight, and he's just working his way on up. That's strengthening his arm. A lot of hitters do that as well, strengthen their wrist and their forearms.
Well, now he's strengthening his left one.
That's to catch the ball when they throw it back. Or maybe he's preparing for interleague play. He's going to have to hit. He wants to, you know, be strong when he has to hit.
Some think when he has to hit the deck. You know, if a couple of those National League guys go down, then Clemens is going to have to come to bat for the first time.
Well, sometime during the broadcast, I'd like to show. Last night he hit Chuck Knobloch in the ball game, and I'd like to you know, show you what happens when you get hit with a Roger Clemens fastball.
Alex Gonzalez hit a double his first time and scored the Blue Jays run. He's facing Scott Aldred here with 2 down and a runner at first in the 3rd inning. Otis Nixon, 15 steals for the year. Roger Clemens, 14 strikeouts last night. He's 6-0 with a 2.05 earned run average for his new ball club.
And John Peter Pasquarelli tells me that he did get a base hit last year. I remember that now. He singled last year in his 1 plate appearance.
That's right. They ran out of players in a ball game. He ended up batting, and he got a single to center field.
Yeah.
Roger, as they called him in New England. Although apparently
I don't think they call him that anymore.
They don't call him that anymore now since he left the Sox. Some people took it personally. And he left with, there was a lot of acrimony over his leaving, with Rogers saying that he was very unhappy with the general manager, Dan Duquette, and so on and so forth. But it seemed that ultimately that the Blue Jays were just not going to be denied. I mean, they made an offer that stunned a lot of people in the baseball world. Roger Clemens is going to be 35 years of age this August.
But I still believe Roger would have taken less to stay in Boston had the number of years been right. That was the hang-up, according to Roger.
And ball 4 to Gonzalez. So 2 men on now with 2 men out. And Merced coming up. Oh, we've been talking about Roger Clemens, who pitched here last night. Here's a look at some of his outing last night. 14 strikeouts, no walks.
Well,
Knobloch, a tough man to strike out.
You're right. He struck out the side twice last night, in the 5th and the 7th.
Got Molitor there. 2 tough guys to strike out. So Jerry Crowley was telling you before the game, Joe, about the split-fingered fastball he was throwing and how high they were getting that on the radar gun.
Yeah, he said he was throwing a splitter around 90 miles an hour and his fastball in 96 mile an hour range. That's tough to try to handle a splitter that's coming 90 miles an hour. It's tough to handle just a regular fastball at that speed.
Orlando Merced, a left-handed hitter. 2 men on, 2 men out. And the foul back out of play.
But John, I have checked around, you know, the American League and started talking to some players in the National League about what we discussed last week, whether they thought pitching was actually better this year. Remember, we had that discussion last week. And in most cases, they agree that they think pitching is a little better this year than it was last year. And I was talking to Cito Gaston. He believes that. Terry Crowley believes that. They think it's just a little bit better than it was last year in the American League.
Cito. Well, there was an incredible number of runs that were scored last year. And so we'll see. We'll see how it develops as the weather begins to warm up. And the hitters start to limber up.
But I also checked on the weather. The weather was the same this year as it was last year. And they were hitting well last year.
Look out. Now that was a foul ball and almost hit Merced. 2 balls and 2 strikes now. 2 men on, 2 men out.
Well, take a look at this fastball that runs in. See, Merced's going into it. It runs in. It gets the bat. Actually, it just hits the bat and gets a little piece of Terry Steinbach. Steinbach has the whole Merced off.
Blue Jays have not been able to get it done in this situation. As a team, they have hit only .218 with men in scoring position. And with 2 down, hitting .199. And Merced goes down. Still 1-1. Joe Carter left on deck. Knobloch coming up second when we get back.
Yes, I would definitely like to wish my mother, Gracie, and your twin a happy Mother's Day. I love you.
All right, Otis, and happy Mother's Day to everyone out there to whom that reference applies. Otis's mom, Gracie, is in Evergreen, North Carolina. Now, Bob Casey.
Baseman,
Thank you, Bob. Well, we don't get to hear Bob introduce Kirby Puckett any longer.
Yeah, you're right.
Kirby Puckett. Bob, he sounds like he's angry, doesn't he? Listen up. Now batting. Quiet down. Bob K. He'd been here since almost the very beginning when the Twins moved here from Washington. 1961. I don't know that he started that year, but it was within a year or two of them moving out here. And he is a true character, Joe. One of those character guys.
Well, there he is on the screen.
We got 1 out. Knobloch the hitter, as you heard Bob Casey say. When Ken Herbeck was here, every once in a while he'd introduce him as Kent Herbeck. And Herbeck would always turn around and tell him to knock it off. Knobloch singled to center his first time, but then got picked off.
And that's what we have to straighten that out. They first called it a caught stealing. Then they changed it to a pickoff, which means that he still has 15 in a row. His streak is still alive.
But your contention is that
he made a break towards second.
But even if he hadn't,
yeah,
I mean, you're a base stealer, and you're out. You
got picked off. That hurts your team. Whether you call it a caught stealing or a pickoff, you still hurt the team, one way or the other. But there are a lot of rules that I don't agree with. So,
name one other one.
I don't agree that, especially with the sacrifice situation, I don't agree when they don't give a base runner a stolen base. You know, they call it fielder's indifference.
The guy moved up a base, he should get credit for stealing the base.
They had a chance. They can throw him out if they want to. If they thought they could get him, they would.
All right. So there's 2 that you don't agree with.
Yeah, I mean, I got a long list here, but, we're only going to play 9 innings probably.
Well, we might foul off a few. Well, this one's foul, but it's playing. Carter. And that is out number 2. Well, we mentioned Knobloch getting hit last night.
Well, you get hit with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, it does hurt. But here's the interesting thing about last night. The ball hits him right here on the elbow, then hits him in the chest, and then gets his right wrist. I mean, he gets hit 3 places. He had 3 bruises on his body today. It gets him in the front forearm, then it hit him in the chest, and then it got him on the wrist. That's the damage that a 96-mile-an-hour fastball will do to you. Bruises everywhere.
Well, the trainer, Dick Martin, got over to first base to see to Knobloch after that. They rolled up the shirt sleeve, and Knobloch said it was a shock because there was a big black mark there already.
Right.
He said
Quickly.
That arm had started to turn black.
And they said even on his chest it had scraped the skin off.
Said Dick Martin came out. You could see the seams of the baseball embossed in his arm. And Dick Martin froze it up and whatnot. And Martin said, "You want me to tape?" I said, "Well, do whatever you think you want to do." Knobloch said his hand had turned into where he couldn't stretch the fingers out. Well, that's it. Brent Brady pops out to the left field of Brumfield. Joe Carter, Ed Sprague coming up 1-1. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Twins won, Blue Jays won. John Miller and Joe Morgan with you, your Sunday night telecasters. Happy Mother's Day. And we hope you had a great day with the family today. Joe Carter, the hitter. Joe Carter takes ball one. Carter drove in 107 runs last year. And it's the odd year when he does not drive in 100. 9 times in the last 11 years he has driven in more than 100 runs. That one is deep and foul on the left field line. Joe Carter was telling us he's thinking more and more about family of late. Been married 17 years, got 3 children, and he's thinking that maybe this year and next year, and then he'll retire, spend all of his time with the family. That one is foul. Scott Aldred tried to sneak it by him on the inside. Carter flied out to center his first time, but so far very un-Carter-like numbers. Only 13 RBIs. He's had 130 at-bats. Very rare for him to go this far into the season with that few RBIs. Of course, as you pointed out at the very top of the telecast, Joe, they're not getting on base in front of him. You see that he's also gone 72 at-bats without a home run. The longest such home run drought for him in 10 years. It's a little different than when he had Devon White and Roberto Alomar hitting in front of him. White, Alomar, Olerud, guys like that. You got to have somebody to drive in.
Well, the key, especially, you know, for Carter, is that, you know, he's not a 340 hitter, so he has to have a lot of opportunities to drive them in, and in the past he's had those opportunities. He's a good clutch hitter, but you have to have a lot of opportunities when you hit 270, 280 up in there to drive in 100 runs, which he does.
Orlando Merced hitting just in front of him tonight. And of course Merced has not hit much yet either. And yet the Blue Jays started the day only 4 games back of Baltimore, the team with the best record in all of the American League. And they're just starting to get it going. And you see the top 2 hitters, the men who are supposed to set the table, make things happen, and not getting it done. Well, Carter's hitting foul balls to all portions of this ballpark.
Starting today's action, they were only a half game behind the Yankees, you know, so they're playing well. Everybody thinks the Yankees and the Orioles are battling it out, but you know the Blue Jays are right there as well. When you have a pitching staff, you know, anchored by Henkin and Clemens, here's after today's game. I guess they're in 1 game. I guess the Yankees won today, so they're a full game behind at this point.
And Carter strikes out. Aldred gets him with that low inside fastball.
Well, again, you know, if he's throwing strikes with his other pitches, you have to he keeps you honest and looking for the breaking ball when he gets ahead of you, and then he sneaks the fastball by you, and we've seen him sneak it by 2 hitters now down below the knees. Good pitch there, and Carter takes a seat. It's his 4th strikeout. Third.
This is out at first. Sprague thrown out by Mears, the shortstop. 2 men down. Two down, and here's Carlos Delgado. Joe and I are having a meeting in here about our scorebooks now.
Yeah, I mean, I gave Merced a punch out, you know, and he, you know, earlier, and he didn't deserve one.
Well, we've had a meeting about it. Consensus is Aldred's got 3 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Where is Marty Aronoff, the man who's supposed to keep us up on this stuff?
He's watching the NBA someplace.
Man, we can't be keeping all these numbers all by ourselves. 3, 4, I don't, you know, once you get up that high. Here's Carlos Delgado. He cracks one into right field. Kelly's got it at the warning track. 3 up and 3 down. Aldred looking pretty sharp. Walt Molitor and then Roberto Kelly coming up with the Twins. It's 1-1. The ESPN Sunday Night Baseball Game of the Week from the Metrodome. It is 1-1. Last of the 4th. Mother's Day, 1997. Joe, happy Mother's Day to you, because I mean, this is our 8th Mother's Day together.
You're right. You're right.
We only spend Mother's Day with each other. Hey, what are you doing for Father's Day this year?
Well, while we take this opportunity, we wish my mom, Ollie, back in Oakland, a happy Mother's Day, and to all the Morgan mothers, sisters, aunts, everybody back in California, happy Mother's Day, and to all mothers around the world. You see.
There's some, my mom and the twins are #1, Hi, Oma and Opa, Grandma and Grandpa.
Okay.
It's sort of like saying what you were saying there, Joe. Now, this is the 8th straight year that you wish your mom a happy Mother's Day on this telecast.
Yes.
Now my mom is also watching. Winona.
Good.
That's Winona.
Okay.
Never misses a Sunday night game. It's the only time she ever sees me, she says.
Well, that's why I waited till this late in the ball game, because my sisters and brothers were taking my mom out to dinner, and they promised to have her back in time for me to say Happy Mother's Day. Some moms with their kids.
The family enjoying the day together at the ball game, which happened all around the country today. And Molitor drives one deep into left field. They have gotten under it too much. Back at the wall is Brumfield, makes the catch.
I thought he hit that one better than that, John. I thought it was out of here.
The wind held it up.
Yeah. But he did hit it to the 343 part. Down the line is 343, but I thought he got enough on it to get it out of here.
It looked like Woody hung one there, and he got away with it.
Let's take a look and see maybe if the pitch is away from him. No, that pitch there is right down the middle, and it was a hanger. And Brumfield finds the wall and makes the catch.
So Molitor just continuing to miss, but just this much. Been kind of tough for him since coming back from that injury that had him disabled. Roberto Kelly, the hitter now.
2 years ago, he was struggling a little bit in Montreal, the same way, just missing. In Toronto.
Left field again, Brumfield. #2. Kelly, of course, drove one all the way to the 408-foot marker in center field his last time. So 2 men are gone, and Matt Lawton is coming up. The Twins have never yet been able to replace Kent Herbeck's bat. I mean, he gave him that big cleanup hitter for all those many years, and then when he retired, nobody able to fill the void. They're hoping that Stahoviak, when he gets back, will be the man who can step in and do that job. Lawton popped out to third his first time, and he pops this one up. Carter backpedaling. Carlos Garcia calls him off, and just like that, the Jays are retired. An easy inning for Woody Williams. We head to the 5th. Benito Santiago coming up. It's tied at 1.
Larry Beal in the studio. Time for the Home Depot Rising Star of the Day. And that rising star would be Andrew Jones of Atlanta. Today, the Braves and the Pirates. Here's Andrew up in the first inning. Base hit. Came up in the 7th with 2 men on, and he delivers. Andrew Jones, 3 hits, 2 ribbies on the day, as the Braves won it 8-2. You'll see him next week on our Sunday night game as St. Louis plays Atlanta. Back to John and Joe.
All right, Larry. Yes, next Sunday we'll be at Turner Field. We'll get our first look at that, what we're told is a beautiful new ballpark, the former Olympic Stadium down there. And now the home of the Braves, and the Braves have the best record in the majors, 25-11. And they're the first team to cool off the Pirates in quite a while. Here is Benito Santiago leading it off for the Blue Jays. It's the 5th inning in a 1-1 ball game. And the foul ball makes it strike 1. Santiago hit a fly ball to right field his first time. Jacob Brumfield and Carlos Garcia will follow. 3 former National Leaguers all in a row here against Scott Aldred. Aldred has been mixing them up pretty nicely so far for the Twins.
John, I want to take a quick moment and send out my condolences to the Rich family. Tom and Sam, they lost their father, Jack, this past week, and they're very close family friends of mine and my family, and we want to send our condolences out. And Tom spent the night in my house yesterday, so we had a good time of rehashing the things we'd done with his father. So I want to send our condolences out from the Morgan family, and I hope that they can rebound from this.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Santiago. fouls that one away as well. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Twins with 2 hits. Gonzalez with a double in the first. Nixon a single in the third. I see the Twins. The Blue Jays with 2 hits. The Twins with 3 hits. Knobloch a first inning single, and then Steinbach and Walker had back-to-back doubles in the second for the Minnesota run. The Toronto run scoring on a wild pitch by Aldred. Scott Aldred to Benito Santiago. You know, last year they had a young catcher in Toronto, Sandy Martinez, and the veteran Charlie O'Brien.
Right.
And all of the pitchers wanted to work with Charlie O'Brien.
Right.
And then this year, O'Brien's still there, and the new catcher, Santiago. So far, the team ERA has actually been much better with Santiago catching. And which is not to say he's a better catcher than O'Brien, but it says that this guy's been around a while and he knows what he's doing behind the plate, I guess, Joe.
Well, I think we started to see that last year. There's Charlie O'Brien with the Phillies. I thought he did a great job of handling that Philly rotation. In fact, remember Curt Schilling said, you know, hey, if this guy leaves, I'm not sure I want to stay here. They gave him a lot of credit for the success that the Philly staff had last year.
Curt Schilling, last time we saw Santiago last year, Curt Schilling was pitching at Wrigley Field and shutting down the Cubs, and Santiago hit 3 home runs in his behalf at Wrigley Field. Schilling, by the way, is doing very well this year, even without Santiago. The Phillies made it 3 in a row over the Colorado Rockies this weekend with another win today. This one back of Schilling. Well, Santiago is hit a foul ball, I think, to almost every kid in the ballpark now. Schilling went the distance with a 4-hitter with 12 strikeouts and no walks against Colorado today, and he is now 5-3 for the Phillies. This will be the 9th pitch of this at bat from Aldred to Santiago, if Aldred ever throws it.
I think you confused him there. He was getting ready to let it go, and you...
I said it a little too loudly.
Yeah.
Distract. 9. Wow. This one may be played. Hurrying back. Oh, he almost got it. Brent Brady. Nobody was better at that than Kent Herbeck. Big old guy, but he just could really move after a foul pop down that right field line.
Well, this is a good attempt. Right over the shoulders, kind of like a wide receiver trying to make that catch straight over your head. That's a tough play to make.
Incomplete.
Yeah, incomplete. But you're right. Herbeck could also pick it out of the dirt. I mean, he could pick it over there at first base. There's Kent, and he could use that lumber that he has in his hand, too.
Yeah, he was a hulking figure at the plate. Made right field look like it was about 220 in this ballpark. It's the house that Herbie built. Santiago again will try to. And Aldred wins the duel. It took him 10 pitches to get it. Don't forget now, next Sunday night, Ron Gant and the St. Louis Cardinals. They're the defending champs of the Central, meeting Fred McGriff and the Braves, the defending National League champions. Ron Gant. I saw him hit a game-winning home run against the Giants about 10 days ago. And, of course, McGriff, one of the most prolific home run hitters of the last decade. That's 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Next Sunday, right here on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball.
Gant also hit a home run against the Braves to beat them, a 3-run homer in the bottom of the 9th.
He's had a couple of big ones, even though he has not really done all that well overall so far this year.
He has just started to swing the bat a little better, but he hit a 3-run homer in the bottom of the 9th about 4 days ago.
Cardinals are just now starting to get their team back together as Brumfield singles to left field. Hit number 3 for the Blue Jays. Cardinals are still 4 games under 500 over there, 16-20. But nobody doing all that well in the National League Central. The Cardinals are only 3.5 out. So the Braves, meanwhile, have the best record in the majors, 25-11, and a 5-game lead over the Florida Marlins in the East, 6 over Montreal. We head into, well, by next Sunday we'll be a little bit past mid-May, which is about the time when you really start seeing pennant races starting to shape up. Here is Carlos Garcia. Well, he was flinching over there, was Brumfield, as Aldred made the throw over there. 1-1 in the 5th. Brumfield has not yet even attempted a steal. Both of these teams like to run. Blue Jays have stolen 33 bases, and the Twins have stolen 39. And that one is foul off the right field side. So the count to Garcia is strike one. Carlos Garcia, we were talking about his slump the last time he was up there. He hit 285. Yeah, he got one, Joe, and a Blue Jays fan at that. Look at that. Wait a minute, they've all got one.
He's got two.
Well, now we know who got all those foul balls that Santiago hit. Man. And fastball is inside to Garcia. Garcia hit 285 for Pittsburgh last year. He had 294 the year before that. I mean, he was pretty steady for Jim Leland over there.
Yeah.
I wonder, Jones, when you get traded like that, it's always kind of a shock. There's got to be a certain comfort level being with the same franchise, same manager all that time. Off the glove of Aldred. Walker cannot pick it up, and everybody is safe. I don't think he had a play even had he been able to retrieve that one. Brumfield safe at second. Garcia safe at first with an infield hit.
Well, Garcia got a break there. If that ball goes through, Pat Mears was going to be able to make the play at shortstop. I mean, this ball's not. See, Pat Mears right there. He was there in plenty of time. That was going to be a double play had not Aldred deflected it away from him, because that ball was hit right to the shortstop.
Now, this is hockey. We'd have to have a timeout to check the tape to see if anybody was in the crease on that on that redirection.
Yeah, that was definitely a double play ground ball, but the pitcher, obviously his first reaction is to try to catch it.
Now here's Otis Nixon now to try and drive in a run. Otis is grounded to second, and he is single. The Blue Jays have 2 men on base for only the second time in the game. They had 2 on with 2 out in the 3rd inning. And that's fouled away, so Aldred in a little bit of trouble. Now Otis Nixon is hitting 194 with men in scoring position this year. And you see the Jays last in the league in hitting, last in runs scored, and 13th in their at-bats with men in scoring position, which is astounding. So they're not hitting to begin with, and then when they get something going, then they really don't hit. Foul ball. Oh, and 2 the count to Nixon. Here's Willie Upshaw, the hitting instructor for the Blue Jays, a former outstanding first baseman for the Jays back in the early year expansion days of the Blue Jays. He was one of their first real big stars.
Yes, he was. Good hitter, too.
Brumfield at second, Garcia at first, and Brumfield is running. Now Garcia was not running. Now heading home is Brumfield, and he scores from second base. Brumfield took off with the pitch and never hesitated and came all the way around to score as Knobloch threw the ball to first. It is 2-1 for the Blue Jays, with Garcia ending up at second.
John, he wanted to steal the pitch before, but he didn't quite time it right. So this time he gets a good jump. He takes off, and Knobloch, trying to get the ball quick enough to tag Garcia, couldn't do it, so he throws to first. Now watch, you'll see him take off, and they never stop. So he sees the ball's put in play, which is smart. He rounds the bag, and now he knows if they throw to first base, he can keep on coming, and he does so. Now watch Knobloch. He tries to get there so he can tag Garcia. He can't do that. Now his only play is to first. He has to hurry. He didn't have time to look over to see where Brumfield was, so he was able to score. Just good heads-up base running there by Brumfield. Really not any mistake by the Twins, just heads-up play there by Brumfield.
You know, Joe, now maybe this is just a wild overstatement, but plays like that, those are the kind of plays that I tend to associate with a good team. See,
yes,
like good teams
makes things happen
do stuff
for
like
themselves.
that.
Yeah, well, especially in close ball games. You know, Joe Carter told us that earlier. He said, you know, we're playing a lot of close ball games and we're making the right plays under pressure, and that's why we're doing a good job. We're not hitting, but we're making the right plays, you know, by playing a lot of close one-run ball games and winning most of them.
Garcia at second, Gonzalez the hitter with 2 men down. Gonzalez has doubled and scored a run, and he has walked. The Jays have played more games decided by 1 run than any other team in the majors so far. 18 of them. They've won 10, lost 8. That's 18 one-run games out of 33 total. More than half of their games have been decided by one. Cito Gaston, he liked what he saw there. It's the extra inning games that have killed him.
Well, I think they run out of pitchers.
Well, and, you know, and the bullpen has been a bit of a problem.
No, it has been. You're right.
Cito Gaston has made some moves there, too, lately. Gonzalez takes a fastball from Aldred for a strike. They had Mike Timlin as their closer, and he was not getting it done consistently. So now they're going with a committee of closers with Quantrill, Crabtree, and Plesac also involved in closing.
And Timlin is still getting an occasional chance. He saved the game on Friday night here. So I think, like you say, they're going to use the committee as they did in Pittsburgh a few years ago. Just whoever he thinks is right that day, or the matchups. If you have two left-handed hitters in that inning, maybe he'll start Plesac, and you know. So I like that idea personally.
1-2 the count to Gonzalez. Orlando Merced would be next. Fastball in the fists, right to Knobloch for the inning. Well, the Jays have scored 2 runs, one on a wild pitch, and in one scoring from second on a ground ball in this inning. We'll be back. Here come the Twins into the last of the 5th inning. 2-1 Blue Jays as Ty Steinbach leads off, and he takes a called strike from Woody Williams. Williams with the 1-run lead on the hustle on the base paths by Jacob Brumfield. Steinbach doubled his first time and scored the Twins run back in the 2nd inning when Walker doubled him home. Steinbach is now 35 years of age, born in a place called New Ulm, Minnesota. Lives now in a place called Plymouth, Minnesota. He was a great start at the University of Minnesota, all Big Ten. And in high school, not only did he play baseball, but he was the all-time leading scorer in his high school in hockey. So, Joe, the man can skate. And that's ball 4 to Steinbach. So Williams, with Steinbach suddenly swinging a hot bat the last couple of days, doesn't give him anything to hit. Steinbach takes a walk, and now we'll get a look at the Todd Walker again. And this is the kind of a guy, Joe, that he comes in, you like to see him do well. He had a great intercollegiate career, and there certainly is no given a guy having a big college career and then that translating into a big major league career. A lot of guys have not done anything once they got here.
Well, they've had to make adjustments from the aluminum bat, which lets you handle a pitch inside, to the wood bat, which, you know, some people can't handle a pitch inside. This is a situation that Crowley has been talking to him about. We saw him pull the ball last time. This is a situation where you try to get a pitch middle of the plate in and try to pull in the hole on the right side, because they're holding the runner at first, and that's how you get runners from first to third, by pulling that ground ball in the hole on the right side.
The bunt. Sprague off the bag, but the tag by Carter. And hustling down the third baseline to cover the bag is Benito Santiago, the catcher. It'll be scored as a sacrifice for Walker, although I don't think that's what he had in mind, Joe.
No, it seemed like he was trying to beat it out for a base hit. I guess that's what they like. You see, does drag it down and try to bunt it down the third baseline. Sprague was a little deep, but Joe Carter makes a nice play. We talked about him adjusting, and the key there was his footwork, and he got the job done.
It is scored as a sacrifice for Walker. It's the first out of the game by Woody Williams on a ball hit on the ground. They've been getting it airborne against him. Here's Pat Mears, strike 1. 2-1 Toronto. Now you got a couple of shots here to single home Steinbach. Well, you're talking about Walker, John, how they'd actually pull the ball more. Now he had a chance there to bottom part of the order to do some damage with a man on base, and the big hole on the right side of the infield. Instead of trying to exploit that, pull the ball through the hole, he ends up bunting.
Yeah, I'm sure Crowley was talking to him about that, you know, just in the future. I mean, he's still probably trying to get his feet on the ground, but there are times, there's Paul Molitor, who may have already talked to him about it, because Molly knows everything that goes on out there, and he watches everything.
And that could be sometimes hit home a little more when a teammate and a great current player says something to you. But just before that, we're told, before we put him on camera, Molitor was indeed having a discussion there with Todd Walker.
Yeah.
Molitor, it's hard to believe, 40 years old. Although, Joe, as I understand it, he's now even older than you. If I got my math straight from your last birthday.
Well, I remember, you know, they had, when he first came up, you know, with Milwaukee, you know, he seemed like he played there forever. So it is hard to believe he's 40 years old. Only 40, I should say, because I can think of all the great years he's had in the major leagues. I mean, and 3,000 base hits.
Molitor, Gantner, and Young. They were 3 teammates together longer than any other 3 teammates on any other team in the history of baseball. That's a foul back to the screen.
Well, they were all good players. That's why they were able to stay there together.
I mean, Yount has been retired. Gantner's out of baseball now. And there's Molitor.
Still hitting line drives.
Man, you know, Ted Williams has said in the past, he said when he sees Molitor, he sees Ted Williams. He
Joe
sees
DiMaggio.
So Joe DiMaggio, that's right. Just kind of the quiet stroke that he's got, the quick bat. Woody Williams misses very high to Pat Mears. 2-2. DiMaggio hit more home runs than Molitor, but I think Ted Williams is talking about something in the approach.
Yeah, I think
the swing.
Yeah, I think he was just talking about their approach in the batter's box.
But he also calls him the best hitter that he's seen in the game these last few years. Steinbach at second. Pop fly, right field. Coming into the ball now is Merced. Back to second is Steinbach.
You know, I may have to talk to Ted about that, because he may, you know, a little front runner there, because this year he said he likes Ken Griffey Jr. more than anybody else, and I can understand why. He said if he was starting a ball club, Ken Griffey Jr. would be the guy that he would take to start a ball club.
I mean, he wouldn't take a 40-year-old guy to start a ball club.
Why not? He's still playing. What does age matter? He's playing. He's hitting line drives. He hit higher than Griffey did last year. No, I agree.
If I start an expansion team, I'm not hiring you.
Don't worry. I'm not available.
2 down, Steinbach at second, and then Rich Becker coming up now for the Twins.
Although I can be bought.
And we are having expansion next year.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Rich Becker, he kind of broke through last year after a real bad rookie season and hit .291 for the Twins. But he is back into a slump at the start of this season. .224 average. And that's strike one. Becker from Cape Coral, Florida. .291. He hit 12 homers, stole 19 bases, covers a lot of ground in the outfield. But again, okay, you've had one decent season. Are you going to show some improvement? Are you going to fall back? I mean, this is a game that beats on you. You can't just do it one year and it's done.
You got to show continual improvement, and you also have to continue to make adjustments.
Twins need a base hit, trailing 2-1. Steinbach at second, and now he's heading for third. Santiago throws to third. Not in time. Santiago still got that great arm. And one time he was the best thrower, the strongest thrower in the National League.
Well, that's a pitch in the dirt. And he tried to block it. It bounces away from him. He throws off balance, as he always does. And not in time to get Steinbach. Good base running there by Steinbach. He took off right away on the wild pitch.
First wild pitch thrown by Woody Williams. So now Becker trying to get Steinbach home from third base with 2 down. Change up too high. 3-1. Now Chuck Knobloch is on deck, and this is a guy who become one of the top hitters in the league. Becker has been struggling. Here's Knobloch hoping to bat. That is foul.
They got a fastball up, and Becker went out of the strike zone. They hit it, but 3 balls, 1 strike. Runner at third. Go for it.
3 balls, 2 strikes to Rich Becker. Trying to deliver in the clutch for the struggling Minnesota Twins. Trailing 2-1 of the 5th inning. From the windup, Williams. Steinbach at third. And there's the walk.
Well, he came back with a changeup after the 3-1 fastball, and he was out of the strike zone. And now he has to face Chuck Knobloch.
You mean Chuck Knobloch?
That's him.
Yeah, that's him, all right. Now, Knobloch, even with the Twins struggling, has produced in these kinds of situations, Joe. And when you think of Knobloch, I mean, he's a winning player, a clutch player.
Well, he's only hitting .256 overall, so, you know, in entering tonight's ball game, so that .345 is very impressive. It means he is concentrating a little harder with those runners in scoring position.
Becker at first, Steinbach at third. And the slider knocked down in the dirt by Santiago. He at first thought that maybe the ball had gotten past him. Complete spin there, but it was right in front of him all the while.
Well, let's take a look at Santiago's approach. You see that he approaches it a little differently than Terry Steinbach. He dropped down in front of the ball and tried to make sure it hit him in the chest if he didn't catch it, which is a different approach than we saw with Steinbach early in the ball game.
So we got a big conference going with Mel Queen, the pitching coach, out to the mound now to talk to Woody Williams here. Well, and that's interesting you bring that up, because the first Blue Jays run, and this is a tight ball game, was a big run, scored on a wild pitch, and the approach by Steinbach, who was the catcher in that case, was much different from the approach we just saw from Benito Santiago.
Well, Steinbach tried to catch it. Now watch it. He'll try to catch this ball backhanded. See right there, and it goes off his arm. Now the Santiago will drop his body down in front of it, so that if he doesn't catch it in the glove, it will hit him in the chest. And he kept the ball in front of him, which saves a run.
We just saw Santiago. He did it. Now it was Steinbach in the first inning. And the count is 2-0 now to Knobloch. Judo on Toronto, but there's Steinbach at third base. Becker at first base. Carter on the bag with him. And Cito Gaston hoping that Woody Williams can work his way out of this jam. With the all-star Chuck Knobloch trying to get it done. And a foul on the play. And the fans getting into it here at the Metrodome. I mean, this had to be the loudest place ever when the Twins were in their World Series back in 1991 against Atlanta, 1987 against the Cardinals. And of course, they never did lose a World Series game in either one of those series played in this ballpark. They had the home field advantage, and maybe no team has ever had such a home field advantage in World Series history. 2-1 to Knobloch, and of course he was here for that World Series in '91. Merced, and that is the inning. Hit it hard, but right to Merced. 2 men left. 2-1. Toronto. Merced, Joe Carter, and Ed Sprague coming up. Downtown Minneapolis, as we just overflew the Metrodome, where the Blue Jays are leading the Twins 2-1. We move to the top of the 6th inning on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Orlando Merced, and he takes outside for ball 1. This is Mother's Day 1997, and Tim McClelland, the third base umpire, asked us if we could extend Mother's Day greetings to all of the mothers of the umpires working here tonight. And the umpires are Cubby Culbreth behind the plate, Gary Cedarstrom first base, Drew Coble second, and there's Tim McClelland over at third base. And the mothers are living in Michigan, North Carolina, South Carolina, and North Dakota. He said that they would know who they were and that they were being duly greeted on Mother's Day. if we just put it like that. So happy Mother's Day. And he also, Joe, he said he said he knew this would come as quite a shock to a lot of people out there, that he said that we umpires actually have mothers.
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. Yeah.
Even those umpires have mothers who love them.
You're right. And maybe they're the only ones that do love them. Just kidding.
I mean, except
you
for
know,
you
I'm
and
just
me.
kidding. Yeah, you know, I'm just kidding.
We love them.
I've always
Well, I do
liked
anyway.
the umpires. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You've always loved the umpires.
Yeah, in fact.
Here's Merced pops one up behind the mound. And Mears takes it one away. Merced is 0 for 3.
In fact, I only got thrown out of the game once. John Kibler did it, and his son works with me. So
John Kibler?
I must,
John Kibler gave you the thumb?
Yeah. And I work with Jeff. I mean, he produces our games sometimes. So, if I held a grudge, I'd be a little upset with Jeff when he calls these meetings in the morning, wouldn't I? But actually, his father was one of my favorite umpires, even though he tossed me out of the game that one time. He knew he was wrong.
Joe Carter flied to center his first time, struck out his last time. Scott Aldred misses with a changeup for ball 1. 2-1 Toronto. Scott Aldred came into this game with an earned run average of 6.28. But he's pitched real well up till now. Pop fly, right side, Nabla. And that's out number 2. Joe Carter. He's got a mother, and he wanted to wish her a happy Mother's Day on Sunday Night Baseball.
Hi, Mom. I know you're sitting home watching the game, but I want to wish you a very special Mother's Day on this great day that's just for you. I love you. God bless you. And also to my wife, Diana, I know you're watching too. Happy Mother's Day to you too.
That ought to get him a few brownie points.
Joe Carter, destructive cleanup hitter, a force to be reckoned with in the lineup. And then there's Joe Carter, family. 2 down, nobody out. Ed Sprague, the hitter. Change up and away for ball 1.
John, I've been watching the Toronto hitters this entire ball game, and Scott Aldred, who has struggled this year to get hitters out. But the one thing I'm noticing is they're not really aggressive. I have not seen one player on the Toronto Blue Jays really attacking the ball. It seems like they're being careful, trying to hit little line drives here, little line drives there. Except for that.
That's it. Well, it's a line drive there into the alleyway, left center, up against the wall. Becker plays the carom, and into second with a stand-up double is Ed Sprague, and he leads the league now with 18 doubles.
But John, if we go back and watch even Joe Carter, who has always been aggressive, they're just not really attacking the baseball, and I think that's one of the reasons they have struggled. This is a pitch that's down out of the strike zone. I mean, way out of the strike zone. Ed Sprague, good low ball hitter, goes down and gets it and lines it into left center field. But most of the other times we've watched today, they have not been aggressive at the plate.
Aldred in his 8th start of the year, but only the 3rd time in those 8 starts that he has even made it into the 6th inning. Well, he only had 1 complete game in his whole career.
Well, he has struggled the entire season, but they seem to be a little.
There's a pop fly, shallow right center, could be trouble. It's in there. Delgado will only get 1 base out of that. He must not have been running. Coming in to score is Sprague, though, and it is 3-1. Roberto Kelly just could not quite get there. And Delgado makes it 3-1.
This is a little bit about what I'm talking about aggressive. We've seen him break bats, get hit on the fist. Now here's a fastball. This pitch is actually out over the plate a little bit, and he doesn't get to it. Roberto Kelly, you can see going all out after it. He gave it 100% effort, but he just could not get there. And the ball bounced away. And I'm surprised, like you, that Delgado didn't get a double out of it, but maybe he was playing it safe with 2 outs. Well, I just thought I'd give him the benefit of a doubt, John, you know?
Playing it safe?
Yeah.
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 Like what, trying to kill the clock?
Well, you see him, he was a little upset that he didn't get the second, or a little bit upset that he didn't hit it harder. But I think that's the point. They just do not seem to be aggressive in their approach to hitting Aldred.
Here's Santiago. Well, I mean, that's very bad for a ball club in a pennant race that's playing a lot of tight ball games. Now, he could be in scoring position right now, where Santiago could bring him in with a base hit. But he didn't hustle on the play, especially on this kind of turf. I mean, the ball drops like that, it's going to take the big bounce, and you'll have an easy opportunity to get 2 bases. I'm taking him to task, Joe.
Yeah, well, and that same thing I'm saying here. You see, Benito Santiago, how many times have you seen him take 2 strikes? I mean, he's normally a real aggressive hitter. But, I mean, I just do not see the aggressiveness that I've seen in the past from the Blue Jay hitters. And maybe that's part of the reason that they have struggled early on this season.
0-2 the count. And another foul ball. This one back into the upper deck. Let's watch Delgado on that pop fly, Joe.
All right. Well, you hear the bat crack. Well, he's running okay. He just did not want to make a mistake, John. And maybe that's what I'm saying about them as hitters. They do not want to make mistakes as hitters. And I think he's saying to the coach that he probably should have been at second base too, or attempted anyway. It's okay to get thrown out at second base on a play like that with 2 outs. It really is.
Delgado with his 20th RBI of the year. And he's still a relatively young guy, so perhaps part of the learning process for him. That ball is in the dirt. Steinbach has to chase it up the third baseline quite a ways. Delgado now is to second base on that wild pitch by Aldred.
There's a pitch that bounces in the dirt. And it hits off. Steinbach's arms are going to be sore. That ball bounced off his left arm again. He got the first wild pitch that's scored the run off of his arm as well. So he's been hit on the arm twice with the wild pitches.
But now he had the glove down the way you'd like to see it, and trying to block the ball that time.
He was trying to block that one, definitely.
Santiago now with a chance to deliver a run with a base hit. 3-1 Toronto. And on the changeup, he lunges after it and fouls it off to the left. You mentioned the Blue Jays and how they've struggled offensively, hitting only .218 with men in scoring position as a team, but Delgado is hitting nearly .400 in those kind of at-bats. 9 for 23 now. So, and it's not a coincidence that he leads the team with 20 RBIs.
And that has to bother Cito Gaston, I guarantee you, because he was a good RBI man. Cito really attacked the baseball as a player, and he was a good RBI man in these types of situations.
High in the air in the left center field. A lot of room out there. Becker. And Lawton hustling over to back up on the play. That's the inning. Another run for the Jays, though. 3-1 Toronto. Reedy, and then Molitor coming up.
Larry Veal back in the studio as MCI takes us to Busch for the Mets and Cards. Here he comes to save the day. Uh-oh. Dennis Eckersley protecting a 1-run lead in the ninth. Serves up a 2-run shot to Carl Everett. 5-4 Mets. Then Butch Husky. Aloha means goodbye. In this game, it was Eck is in wreck. Mets win 6-4. Back to John and Joe.
And next Sunday, we'll see the Cardinals, Ron Gant, Dennis Eckersley and company, in Atlanta, Turner Field taking on the Atlanta Braves. Ron Gant, who's hit some dramatic home runs already this year, and Fred McGriff, one of the great home run hitters of his time. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN. Last of the 6th inning, Brent Brady leads it off, trying to get on base here in front of Molitor and then Kelly as they try and get something going against Woody Williams. 3-1 for Toronto. And Brady fouls one off. Well, the Blue Jays have not exactly worn out Scott Aldred. They've scored on a wild pitch. A runner scored from second on an infield out. And then on a broken bat bloop single. Aldred, I guess, deserves a little better, Joe. But he's trailing 3-1.
Well, he has pitched better. I mean, better than what he has been given here. A better shake than he's been given, I should say, because he also stuck his glove out there. It deflected a double play ground ball, and that gave Brunfield a chance to steal.
Caught at second by Garcia. Well, Brady really hit it hard. One of the harder hit balls against Woody Williams.
Well, line drive to Carlos Garcia. Garcia was a shortstop originally. Then they moved him over to second base. And that's where he'll be playing probably from now on. But he can play shortstop.
Well, that was one of those plans. I don't know, plan B.
Right.
At one time was for maybe Garcia to move over to short if they traded Jay Bell, and Jeff King to move in at second base in Pittsburgh.
But they traded Garcia. Well, I guess they traded them both at the same time.
They went to plan D.
Yeah.
D for dump.
None of them are the same.
They started dumping those high contracts. Pop fly by Molitor. And Garcia wants this one. And he's got it. Molitor is 0 for 3. Molitor robbed of a hit on a sliding catch by Merced in the first. Drove one back near the wall in left field in the fourth. And this time he pops out. 2 down, nobody on. And Roberto Kelly is coming up. 3-1 Toronto. Molitor, by the way, says that when his playing days are over, one thing he does know for sure is that he intends to stay in the game in some capacity.
Well, he knows the game well, and I think that's what baseball needs, is to keep the players in the game who know how the game is supposed to be played.
I think Molitor would be a guy who'd make a great player personnel director or general manager eventually. There's a lot of things to learn when you get into that front office about how the system works. But he's a college man, Joe. And he's been around. He knows a lot about it already.
Well, I mean, again, he knows a lot about the game. I think that's the most important thing. I think sometimes baseball makes a mistake when they're worried more about what you learned in college sometimes than what you learn on the baseball field. Baseball is not rocket science. You need to know about players. You need to know how the game is played. And you need to be able to judge talent and be able to read what's in a player's heart and what is in his stomach.
Strike 3 called on the outside corner. Well, that's the best inning of the game for Woody Williams. He's leading 3-1 after 6. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Blue Jays 3, Twins 1. We head into the late innings. Inning number 7, Jacob Brumfield, who has been part of one of the key plays of this ball game. He scored the go-ahead run from second base on a slow bouncer to the second baseman. With great hustle. And that was the play on which the Blue Jays went ahead. Brumfield is 1 for 2 against Scott Aldred. Meanwhile, the Minnesota bullpen is busy. As Aldred goes to work, caught by Knobloch, and Brumfield is out number 1.
I don't think I've ever seen so many right-handers get their bats sawed off, you know, and that's again about how aggressive they are.
Mike Trombley, a right-hander warming up in the Minnesota bullpen. Carlos Garcia. Well, what does that tell you? Is that good pitching, or the guys?
I think he's throwing well, obviously, but I just don't think they're as aggressive as they should be. He doesn't have as good enough fastball to be able to jam all these right-handed hitters. But I just think it's, again, a product of the fact that when you're struggling as a team, you're in a slump, and sometimes you just lose your aggressiveness.
I mean, really, it seems like most of his fastball has been around 82, 83 miles an hour.
And that shouldn't be enough to jam major league hitters unless they're not aggressive or unless they're looking for some other pitch.
Well, he tried to get in on him there. The ball is hit well into left center, but caught by Lawton, and Garcia is out number 2.
Well, again, you should be able to get around on that fastball if you're right-handed.
In other words, that's what we should be seeing happen.
You should be the more aggressive attacking the ball, especially when he comes inside. I mean, most of the time, left-handers run the fastball away from right-handed hitters. They try to come inside with a cut fastball or a slider. But Aldred is just going in whenever he wants to.
But for instance, I mean, Fernando Valenzuela at his age now, he doesn't throw that hard, but he will work consistently in on the fists of right-handed hitters.
With a cut fastball. But he also turns the ball over to keep you honest, and keeps you from looking for his screwball.
Otis Nixon, 1 for 3 in the game with an RBI. He got the RBI with a man at second base in the 5th inning when he hit a chop ground ball to the second baseman Knobloch. And as Nixon was thrown out at first, Brumfield came around to score from second. Bluffing the bunt, taking too low, and it is 2 balls and a strike now. 3-1 for the Blue Jays. Toronto has won 7 of its last 8, including 3 in a row, after struggling terribly earlier on. And there's talk that they're still looking for more hitting. They signed. By the way, that guy holding his child reached out with his right hand and caught that ball. No, that was pretty astounding.
Good hand.
I mean, good hand and a good arm to hold the kid and then reach out and catch the ball with the other hand. I'm glad he remembered he was holding the kid.
Glad the kid was more important than the ball.
Some people get kind of focused in on that foul ball when they get a chance to get it. Into right center field on the run. Becker can't get there, neither can Kelly. Nixon will pull up at second with a stand-up double. His second hit of the game.
And you can see the unusual defense they had against Nixon. The right fielder, Kelly, was toward the line, and the center fielder, Becker, was pretty much straight away toward left center. You'll see here the ball's hitting the gap, and you see there's a big gap between the two. But he hit that ball pretty well anyway, because it would have been over Kelly's head.
So with 2 down, Nixon is in scoring position. Roberto Kelly. Neither he nor Becker could get there. Now Alex Gonzalez has doubled and scored a run, walked, and popped up to second base. Gonzalez hitting .250 for the year. Well, he got in on him, and he hits a soft liner to the third baseman, Todd Walker, and that retired. Matt Lawton leads it off for the Twins. Last of the 7th inning. Woody Williams on the mound for the Blue Jays, holding a 3-1 lead. Twins have only 3 hits against him so far. Lawton has popped up to third and popped up to second. He is 0 for 2. And the fastball for a strike from Williams. Williams has been pretty impressive so far.
Yes.
I saw him pitch one ball game last year, Joe, in Baltimore, where he just shut down the Orioles. And he did it the same way he's doing it here tonight. He just throws strikes, changes speeds well. In 45 innings pitched this year, he's given up only 32 hits. Not bad for a guy who hadn't even won a game yet. He is 0-2 with a 3.46 ERA, or was coming into play tonight. That's going down a little bit now. Some guys on a pitching staff are just going to pay a price when a team is not scoring runs. And so far for the Jays, it has been Woody Williams in particular. Although Pat Henkin has made 8 starts, the defending Cy Young Award winner. And he's 3-1 with a 3.21 ERA. He's got 4 no decisions. And that's too high. 3-2. If the Jays win this ball game, they'll remain 4 games back of Baltimore in the East. Yanks are 3.5 back, the defending world champions. Lawton drives one deep in the right field. Off the bag out there. A double.
Well, Lawton gives him a start here in the 7th inning. He 3-2 pitch. Williams wanted to throw a strike, and he threw him a high fastball, and he hammers it off the wall. This is more of a line drive that hits off the baggie, and he goes in the second with a double.
Well, they instead of putting a wall, this is the only park in baseball where they don't put a wall up. They put a curtain or a tarp, or as you say, a baggie. And so there's no real care on the ball, just hits and kind of drops straight down. The 12th double of the year for Matt Lawton. It's kind of a home run porch out there in right field. Only 327 down the line, and I don't know, maybe about 355 or so to the alleyway out there in right center. And so they put the curtain up. And you got to hit it over that curtain about 25 feet above the playing surface. Terry Steinbach, the possible tying run. He has doubled and he has walked, and he lifts this one foul out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike. And the Blue Jays bullpen comes to life now. You see Steinbach showing signs of getting hot for the first time this year. In the bullpen, the left-hander Paul Spoljaric. Now warming up for Toronto. 3-1. Toronto ahead. Lawton at second, nobody out. I think that's a pitch that Williams likes to throw, Joe. That fastball, it's just up a little bit out of the strike zone.
Yeah.
But Steinbach would not chase it there. Lawton, after his double at second base. Todd Walker is on deck. Into the hole. Gonzalez, the long throw. Nice play.
Good arm. Well, we've talked about Steinbach tonight. Let's take a look at a couple of blocks that are instrumental in this game. This is the first, and now watch, I think this ball fooled him. See, he tries to backhand it, and it hits off of his arm. Now, later on, this is the way he should have gone after the ball in the first inning, by trying to block it. Now, this is Santiago with the same play. You see, he just tries to get his body in front of it, and it bounces off his glove, but it stays in front of him. I think that in the first inning, he was fooled a little bit by the pitch, and he just tried to reach out and backhand it. You never try to backhand the ball in that situation like that. You just try to get your entire body in front of it.
And of course, in that play in the first inning, on that wild pitch, a run scored. The first run of the ball game. That brought Alex Gonzalez home from third base. Todd Walker, the hitter, he has doubled home the Twins' only run. He has also had a sacrifice bunt. 1 ball and no strikes. Big, strong guy. Got a chance here to tie this ball game with a home run. But he has only hit 1 home run in his 85 at-bats this year. You know, the guy that did that, Joe, when he first came up, you were talking earlier about how Walker's hit so many balls, has gone the other way with so many pitches that he should be pulling. Jeff Conine came up with Kansas City. Kept hitting singles to right all the time. And it wasn't until later that when he went to the Florida Marlins that he started showing his power and started pulling the ball a little bit.
A lot of people can talk about going the other way and hitting the ball the other way, and you do that against tough pitches. When you have the ball middle of the plate in, you want to go ahead and attack the ball. Doesn't mean you pull it down the line, but you want to pull it to the right or left side of center field.
And right to the second baseman, Garcia. And that is the second out. Over to third base goes Lawton. 2 down. Leadoff double by Lawton. Now he's to third, but with 2 down, and Pat Mears is coming up, a right-handed hitter. A special radio station with promotion tonight here at the Metrodome, WCCO, the station that carries the Twins games, with Hall of Fame broadcaster Herb Carneal. And tickets sold for this game, 32,552, but I don't think we had that many people actually in the ballpark. And there's Herb Carneal, into the Hall of Fame last year. Been the voice of the Twins since 1962. Matt Mears 0 for 2. A little flare, shallow left center field. That is in there, base hit. Coming in to score is Lawton, and now it's a 1-run game again, 3-2 for the Blue Jays.
Well, the Blue Jays scored one of their runs on that little pop fly that fell in, and now the Twins get one back that way. Now the pitch is away, hits it off the end of the bat, right off the end of the bat, and it drops in front. You see Brumfield coming hard, but he can't get there, and he does a good job of knocking that ball down, keeping it in front of him and keeping Mears from going to second base.
Now here is Rich Becker. So it is 3-2. By the way, we mentioned the WCCO radio and what they're doing as part of this game. It looks like we're going to get a pitching change here, as part of the proceeds from the tickets sold for tonight's game are going to the flood relief efforts here in the area. They had, of course, serious, terrible flooding. So we wanted to mention that Spoljaric is coming in for the Jays. It is 3-2. Woody Williams is out of there, and we'll be right back. We're in Minneapolis. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan, your Sunday night telecasters. And we're indoors here in the Metrodome. And all of a sudden, the Twins mounting a comeback. And Cito Gaston has gone to that man, number 24, Paul Spoljaric, in relief of Woody Williams. Hard throwing lefty, good breaking ball, and he can be tough.
Well, they've countered by bringing up Coomer.
Ron Coomer will pinch hit for Rich Becker. Runner at first base, 2 down, 3-2. The Blue Jays are leading. Coomer is hitting .295 in only 61 at bats. He has 13 runs batted in, 2 homers, 4 doubles. They picked him up in a trade with the Dodgers year before last. Hit .296 last year with 12 homers and only 233 at bats. And there is Mears, the possible tying run of the game, over at first base. He'll be ready to go in anything but 2 down. Coomer lifts a high fly ball, shallow left, and he's having trouble out there in left field. But Brumfield comes on to get it. For a moment, it looked like he might have lost it in that dome. Merced, then Carter and Sprague when we get back. Sunday night baseball. We move into the 8th inning from Minneapolis. Toronto 3, Minnesota 2, and some changes for the Twins. You're looking at Mike Trombley, the new pitcher, on in relief of Scott Aldred. And you see his numbers there. Keeps the ball down and keeps it in the ballpark for the most part. And Ron Coomer stays in the ball game to play first base after pinch hitting for Rich Becker. Moving from first base to left field is Brent Brady. There he is in left. And moving from left field over to center field is Matt Lawton. So a chain reaction of changes there. And here is Orlando Merced, the number 3 hitter in the Blue Jays batting order. Joe Carter, the cleanup hitter, and then Ed Sprague, the power, coming up for the Jays here in the 8th inning. And it's ball 1 to Merced, who has grounded a first, struck out, and popped a short. Tom Kelly, his ball club 8 games below 500, 14 wins, 22 losses. And that is a foul ball. 1 ball, 1 strike to Merced, but a tight ball game, and the Twins got a rare strong outing from a starter here tonight as Eddie Guardado warms up in the bullpen now, a left-hander.
Well, Aldred pitched exceptionally well, as you mentioned. You know, Blooper got him a run. One scored on a ground ball in the infield, and the other on a wild pitch. I mean, he actually pitched very well.
Off the fist foul by Merced. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
It just seems to me that Toronto's trying to hit a lot of singles. You know, they're not really attacking the ball. Now you have a right-hander out there, and Merced, even there, he's just late. Looks like, but it's because I think trying to hit singles, they're losing a lot of bat speed. I mean, that's what's happening in my opinion tonight. I'm not.
Strike 3 call. 1 away.
I don't know if that's been their problem the entire season, but it definitely is their problem tonight. There's not a lot of aggressiveness. And with 2 strikes, Trombley goes away with a fast forkball, actually a splitter. And that ball really had some movement on it. There you see the ball moving down and away from Merced. Merced thought it was low and away.
So Merced 0 for 4 and struck out twice in this one. And now Joe Carter will come up. Carter is flying to center, struck out and popped to second. 0-1. Joe Carter, 1993, drove in 121 runs, and then, of course, was the World Series hero. A game-ending World Series home run. In fact, a series-ending home run.
What every kid dreams about.
And not only that, but I mean, his team was trailing when he hit it.
hitting a game-winning home run in the last inning of the World Series to win a World Series. Everyone dreams of having that opportunity.
There's that fork ball in the dirt, and he is thrown out by Steinbach. So Carter goes down on strikes. 2 down. And now Ed Sprague will come up. Sprague also was a World Series hero, not of the same magnitude, but in 1992 when the Jays defeated the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
Sprague had a big home run. I think it was in the second game of that World Series.
Pinch hit, wasn't it?
I think so.
Grand slam.
I believe it was against Jeff Reardon.
Yeah.
One hopper. Knobloch. Sprague is gone. And a great job turned in by Trombley there. Top of the order coming up with the Twins. Knobloch, Brady, and then Molitor. They're down by a run to the Blue Jays. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. Sunday night baseball game of the week. It's 3-2 for the... Joe, wait a minute. There's something unequal about us right now. There, much better. All right. Now we're on the same level playing surface.
All right.
And next Sunday we'll see the Braves, who are red hot, and the defending Central champion Cardinals.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing not only the Braves, because I haven't seen them this year. We have seen the Cardinals, but also I'm looking forward to seeing Turner Field.
Yeah,
I heard it's a beautiful place.
Our first look at Turner Field next Sunday, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific, 2 Hawaiian. There's Paul Quantrill on the pitch now for the Blue Jays into the 8th inning. Now this Blue Jays bullpen has not been consistently strong this year. There's been an area where the Jays have made some changes here under Cito Gaston as Chuck Knobloch stands in. 2-0 the count. Mike Timlin, the closer, was having problems, so now he is no longer the everyday closer. They're going with a committee of closers as Cito Gaston tries to find the right combination. Knobloch, a good man to keep off the bases in a 1-run ball game if you're Paul Quantrill. In fact, I would think it's almost imperative to keep him from reaching here, but he has hit well against Quantrill over the years. Quantrill is in his 14th game of the year, 4-2 out of the bullpen with 1 save. That is fouled on the right field line, and maybe you saw Carter there. He is over hugging the foul line, as is Sprague at third base as they guard against the extra base hit. Quantrill 16 in the 3rd innings pitched, 20 hits allowed, a lot of hits. On the other hand, only 2 walks given up in 16 in the 3rd innings.
Interesting alignment. They give him left center field, not left field, but left center field.
All the way, 2-2. Yeah, the center fielder Otis Nixon's way over into right center. There you see it.
And all the room is in left center field. The left fielder is pretty much straight away. All right, look, I mean, look at all this space you have here between the outfielders.
Knobloch could run for a long time if he could hit one out there. He reaches for one and hits it right back to Quantrill.
That was a good pitch by Quantrill. He'd thrown him fastball, so all of a sudden Knobloch had to try to speed his bat up, try to get to the fastball, and he threw him, looked like a splitter, and all Knobloch could do was put it in play. Here you go. Take a look at this. See, that's either a slider or a splitter, and he just reaches out. There's Knobloch. He was completely fooled by it, but he just reaches out and puts it in play. He was probably hoping he'd foul that off, but he put it in play.
Here's Brent Brady now, 0 for 3. That's a foul. Well, now they kind of shift the other way, Joe. The center fielder, Otis Nixon, over into left center.
This is interesting, the way that they play these hitters. There you see now the gap is over here. So they expect these hitters to go the other way. At least Knobloch and Brady. There's Cito Gaston. He's the guy that goes over to scouting reports with the coaches and decides where to play certain hitters.
Brent Brady. 2 strikes and now 1 ball. 3-2. Toronto ahead in the last of the 8th inning. Paul Molitor is on deck. Blue Jays continue to hug the foul line. Sprague at third and Carter at first. Real spread out infield defense. Quantrill is inside with a fastball. 2-2 the count. You just see how the infield defense looks.
That's pretty much straight away every place there except Carter, of course, hugging the line, and so is Sprague over on the third base side. There's Carlos Garcia playing up the middle a little bit.
And that one is through. Base hit. So Brady gets aboard in front of Molitor.
So one thing you can do, there are a lot of holes in the middle of the diamond, especially on AstroTurf. Ground balls just seem to run away from the infielders here on AstroTurf.
Paul Molitor, and he has never hit that well against Quantrill. Molitor, the one-time Blue Jay. Of course, he was there and helped the Jays to their second World Series, 1993. Drove in 111 runs that year. And speaking of that, last year he had 9 home runs for the Twins and drove in 113 runs with just 9 homers. A .341 batting average.
It's only been done a few times where they hit less than 10 home runs and drive in 100 runs.
Tommy Hurd did it for the Cardinals back in the 80s. And when he did it, everybody was going to the record book to find out the last time it had been a few decades, I think, since it had been done prior to that. There is Tom Kelly wondering if his veteran superstar is going to get it going here soon. That's into the alleyway in right center field. Brady to second, heading for third. Nixon up with the ball. He'll hold Molitor to a single, and Brady's going to stop at third.
Well, they were trying to get a sinker to get a ground ball, but this pitch is up a little bit. See, it's up and it stays up. That's a sinker that did not sink, and he lines it in the right center field. Good hitting there, of course, by Molitor. He took advantage of it, and good base running there by Brady. He just comes all the way around to third base. Now the tying runs at third with less than 2 down.
Now the Twins shorthanded. You see Frankie Rodriguez there on the right-hand side, hoping that they can pull one out of the hat here. Molitor keeps the thing going. And now Greg Myers is going to come up and act as a pinch hitter for Roberto Kelly. And the Blue Jays bullpen immediately springs into action. There's Myers. Now this is where the Twins injuries really show up. They're missing Marty Cordova. He was a 100 RBI man for them last year. And also Scott Stahoviak, their big left-handed hitting first baseman, who could well be the do-up right now if he were healthy. So now Myers will come up to bat. Myers is hitting .231, but he is 2 for 4 as a pinch hitter. First and third, 2 down, or rather 1 down. This could be 2. Here's 1, 2, double play. 1 pitch, and Quantrill is out of the jam. And so it goes for the Twins right now. 3-2, Toronto. And there's the crew of ESPN Sunday Night Baseball gathered together. Yeah, it's more than just Joe and myself and a couple of people. And those people are the very best at what they do.
Yeah.
The ones who really make Sunday Night Baseball what it is.
I'd like to see them again if I could.
Yeah. Because we're proud of them.
Yes, we are.
We handpicked them.
Most of them.
Well, we had the right of approval anyway. There is Carlos Delgado. You were just looking, by the way, at Denny Hocking, who is now in right field for the Twins after Myers pinch hit for Kelly. So here's Delgado against Trombley. Delgado delivered the run that has the Blue Jays leading right now with a broken bat bloop in the 6th inning to drive home Ed Sprague from second base. That was the 3rd Blue Jays run, and they are leading 3-2. 9th inning now. 2-0. Both bullpens are busy. Well, just as I say that, I look at the Twins bullpen, and Rick Aguilera, who had been warming up, is no longer. So the Blue Jay bullpen is the one that's going right now. 2-1 now to Delgado. Santiago and Brumfield will follow. 3 runs, 7 hits for the Blue Jays. 2 runs, 7 hits for the Twins. 3-1 now.
John, I think this is a very important game, for the Toronto Blue Jays, because if they can get a couple of victories, as they've done here the last couple of days, knowing that they're not hitting, just to go as long as they can winning without the guys hitting. They know that Carter's going to hit. They know that Santiago's going to hit.
This one is back out of play.
And they know that they are going to score some runs. So all the wins that they get under these circumstances where they're struggling for runs and the pitching is dominating for them just makes them that much tougher when they do start to swing the bats.
People, of course, the question they had about the Blue Jays looked like the starting pitching was going to be awfully strong. The question was, would they hit well enough to compete with the likes of the Orioles and the Yankees? So far, the hitting has not been there, but I agree with you. I mean, guys like Carter, Merced, Santiago, they're going to hit.
Yeah. Well, the Baltimore Orioles have, very good offense so far this year.
Hit sharply, but picked up nicely by Coomer, and Trombley gets the put out. That brings up Benito Santiago. And Benito Santiago wanted to extend Mother's Day greetings to his mom.
Hola, este es Benito Santiago de los Blue Jays. Espero que pasen un buen feliz Día de las Madres.
Feliz Dia de las Madres.
I can tell you exactly what he said.
What?
He said he's Santiago of the Blue Jays, and he wants to wish his mother Happy Mother's Day.
Feliz Dia de las Madres.
See?
Okay.
I took Spanish in high school.
Yeah, but you never studied. Benito Santiago into left field. And that is out number 2. Now, see, I say that. It was a cheap shot.
I know, because I did study.
You did?
Yeah, I got a B in Spanish.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I also...
Muy bueno.
See, and I used to converse with Tony Perez, David Concepcion. I used to converse with them every once in a while.
Yeah? Well, give me an example of what you would say to Tony Perez.
I'd walk in and say, hola. Que pasa,
all right. You've made your point.
Yeah, que pasa.
Que pasa, doggy.
Yeah.
Here is Brumfield, and he takes a strike from Trombley. The Twins, in their half of the 9th inning, will have Matt Lawton, a left-handed hitter, Steinbach, the veteran right-handed swinger, and then Walker, the rookie, who swings lefty. The Blue Jays had Plesac, a left-hander, warming up in their pen for a while, but now Timlin, the right-hander, is warming up out there. Brumfield, and although the 3rd run was driven in by Delgado with that broken bat bloop in the 6th, the key play still seems to be the one that Brumfield made. There's Timlin in the bullpen. Brumfield scored the 2nd run from second base on an infield out. I mean, that's a run that's not supposed to score. Foul tipped, and it is 2-2.
And that shows you how the Twins are going, actually, because he wanted to steal 3rd a pitch before, and he didn't get a good jump. And the time that he takes off from 3rd is when they put the ball in play, and he was able to continue around and score.
Jacob Brumfield, formerly with the Cincinnati Reds in the National League. Got a piece of it to stay alive there. He's got a little pop in his bat. He can hit some home runs. He can play different positions. He runs well. 2-2 to Brumfield. The Jays, by the way, stay here. There's another ball game between these 2 ball clubs tomorrow night at the Metrodome. And then the Blue Jays will move on to Detroit for 2 games. Oh, look at that. The breaking ball froze him. Strike 3 call. So Trombley with 2 perfect innings to keep it close. Lawton and then that man Steinbach. 3-2 Blue Jays. Dan Plesac, a left-hander, part of the committee in the bullpen now, at least to start things off in the 9th inning for the Blue Jays. Veteran lefty, well-traveled, and he's had success in a lot of places over the years. He's struggled so far. The numbers are not good for Toronto. Speaking of struggling, the Twins have struggled. This is the first run of the game. A wild pitch in the first inning, scoring Alex Gonzalez from third base. Then in the 5th inning with 1 out and 1 on. This might have been a double play, but when it hit Aldred's glove, all hands were safe, putting runners at first and second, and then, of course, later on, Brumfield scored from second and an infield out. So here we go. Matt Lawton, a left-handed hitter, to lead it off. There's only one player still on the Twins bench. It's a right-handed hitter, Greg Colbrun. Managers are reluctant to use their final player if they don't have to. And Lawton has been a good hitter for them against all types of pitching. He hit a double off the wall in right field here tonight. He is 1 for 3 and scored a run. 2-0 the count to Lawton. And that's a foul ball.
Well, this is what you mean when you say bullpen by committee, because what's going to happen is if Plesac's able to get Lawton out, you may see Timlin come in to pitch to Terry Steinbach. And they're going to, you know, when you use bullpen by committee, you kind of match your bullpen up against the hitters who are coming up, rather than just have one specific closer pitch to both righties and lefties.
And it goes now to 3-1. GK, Tom Kelly. He's seen his Twins over the years make a lot of dramatic comeback rallies in this ballpark. And the walk. Well, that was not the plan. The left-handed Plesac was supposed to go out and get that left-handed hitter. Instead, he has walked him. Lawton is aboard, and immediately Cito Gaston comes out. And now Timlin will get the call with the right-handed batting Steinbach coming up. 1 man on, nobody out, and the Blue Jays in little trouble here in the 9th inning. We'll be back. Blue Jays ahead 3-2 in the bottom of the 9th with a runner at first base and nobody out as Mike Timlin comes on to pitch now for Toronto. Timlin with 3 saves, a 2.76 ERA, but he has given up 4 home runs in 16 and the 3rd innings, which is just scary for a closer. And he comes on to face Terry Steinbach, a guy who's well capable of launching one if Timlin makes a mistake. Of course, right here on ESPN with the Stanley Cup playoffs in full gear. More Stanley Cup playoff action this week on ESPN. It will be Thursday, Game 1, Detroit and Colorado, 8:30 Eastern on ESPN. Friday, Game 1, the Rangers. Yeah, they came all the way back to beat the New Jersey Devils with Gretzky and Messier. They'll start a series with the Flyers on ESPN 2, 7:30 Friday. And you'll be able to see those telecasts, by the way, in the cities that are participating. No blackouts for those telecasts on ESPN and also the Deuce. Well, here's Steinbach. He'd like to launch a deuce right now, which would wrap up a win for the Twins. On the fists from Timlin. Now, Steinbach has never had a hit against Timlin. He is 0 for 8 lifetime against him.
And you might wonder why the Twins aren't sacrificing in this situation, since they have been struggling. And I think that's a good question. Yeah, it's a good question. I'm gonna take a guess. I'm saying the veteran Steinbach, who's swung the bat well for 2 days on a ball club where hardly anybody's swinging the bat well. The only problem, he's 0 for 8 against Timlin. And you do have a left-hander coming up next, Todd Walker. But like you're saying, you got the bottom of the order. So he figures he has a chance for Steinbach maybe to hit one in the gap or even hit one out of the ballpark. And if it was even 2 days ago, maybe Steinbach would be bunting. Yeah. But he's had 2 big days here against the Blue Jays, his first 2 big days of the year. Lawton at first. That's along the right field line. Base hit. Lawton heading for third. Here comes the throw. Cut off.
Gary Steinbach has delivered on an 0-2 pitch. The possible tying run at third, the possible winning run at first, and nobody out.
And that's why you see Cito Gaston shaking his head there. On an 0-2 pitch, the pitch is up, and he's able to fight it off. Now watch, it's up. It's supposed to be outside. Now look where this pitch is, right in the middle of the plate. That's how you get to have the earned run average that Timlin has. You get ahead of the hitter 0-2, and you throw that pitch right there, and all Steinbach does is fight it off down the right field line.
So now a double play ball ties this ball game.
Yeah.
A ground ball in the middle infield, even a double play ball ties the game. A fly ball could tie it. They don't have to get a hit to tie it. But what's more, Walker with a chance to do a lot more damage than that. Ball one. Walker doubled home Steinbach in the second inning, had a sacrifice bunt in the fifth, and grounded a second in the seventh. He is 1 for 2. There's Lawton, the possible tying run at third base. Steinbach, the possible winning run at first base. The middle infield double play depth with Carter on the bag holding against Steinbach. That's a bloop. Tagging at third, Lawton. The catch by Brumfield. The throw going to be close. Out at the plate for the double play.
And I'll tell you what, John, you cannot fault the Twins for trying it. You just have to give credit for Brumfield making a perfect throw right on line. If the throw is off line at all, he's able to score. So the Twins did the right thing. I think they should have sent him in that situation, even though there's only one down. Now watch this throw. It's a perfect throw right on the money. Look at that, right over the cutoff man's head. One hop right to the catcher, and they call him out at home plate. I'm sure he thinks he's safe. There's the dive. No, he's out. He is out. Nice call by the umpire. Nice block of the plate there by Benito Santiago.
And you see how they reacted in the Blue Jays dugout. Coach Alfredo Griffin there in the middle. And that was a great pick-me-up for the Jays, to say the least. I mean, it looked like they might be lucky to get out of the inning just with a tie. And now they're 1 out away from winning it. Steinbach still at first base as Mears takes a strike.
Well, anytime you're a third base coach, you want to force the other guy to make a perfect throw to get you. That's why when you go from first to third, you have the same situation. Well, Jacob Brumfield made a perfect throw.
Well, it's been the Jacob Brumfield show tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, he made that perfect throw in the clutch. And, of course, don't forget, in the fifth inning, he scored a run, scoring from second base on a ground ball on the infield. Carter. And Timlin with the putout, and the Blue Jays hang on to win it almost miraculously here in the ninth inning. Their 4th consecutive win. They remain 4 games back of Baltimore in the East.
Well, the Toronto Blue Jays continue to win without hitting in the clutch. And the longer they can go with doing that, the better off their chances are going to be later on, because they do have some good hitters on this ball club, and the pitching staff is getting a lot of seasoning right now.
And the Jays get out of a first and third 1-out jam in the 8th inning. First and third nobody out jam in the 9th inning, and the Twins are unable to score either time. And another 1-run victory for the Jays, their 19th 1-run game. They've won 11 of them. Next Sunday night, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, will be at Turner Field in Atlanta. Ron Gant and Ray Langford, the St. Louis Cardinals, take on Fred McGriff, Chipper Jones, Kenny Lofton, and the National League champion Atlanta Braves. We hope that you will join us then. So it turned into a thriller here tonight. The Jays, with their 4th win in a row, they've won 8 of their last 9 ball games. Now this is John Miller for Joe Morgan saying good night to you from Minnesota. This has been an ESPN production, the worldwide leader in sports.